Good afternoon, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, Maine. My name is David Q, and I am the chair of the Board of Trustees here, and I am delighted to welcome you to this installation service. I want to remind you, if you have a cell phone in your pocket, to turn it off, please. I'd also like to point out there are 3 exits from this building. There's one that you came in, there's one off to this side, and there's one in the very back if you go all the way through the church. So today we are particularly pleased to welcome the many guests from our larger community who are celebrating along with us today. So I'd like to welcome the members of the Brunswick Area Interfaith Council, who represent various religious bodies who intentionally work together to positively impact our community. I'd like to welcome all of the Unitarian Universalist ministers and members of our larger UU faith community in Maine and beyond. Welcome to Kharma's friends and colleagues and family members, whether they're joining us here in person or online. And welcome to the members, leaders, friends, and guests of this congregation. Whoever you are, whether you've been a member of this congregation for decades or whether you're attending for the first time today, online or in person, you are welcome here. So as we begin this service, it's an honor to welcome two of our former ministers. And the first you will recognize in a format where we saw her for quite a long time.
Hello, beloveds of Brunswick. For those of you who haven't met me before, I am the Reverend Justine Sullivan, and I had the honor of serving as your interim minister from 2020 to 2022. I so wish I could be with you in person to celebrate the installation of your minister and my dear colleague, the Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos. But there is something familiar about my coming to you in this way. You might remember that our entire first year together was spent online. So here we are again. I'm coming to you from First UU San Diego, where I am serving a 4-year developmental ministry. Dale and our dog Callie and I made the cross-country move together last July, and we're still getting used to the presence of palm trees and the ocean being to the west of us. I think of you often with love and appreciation for the time I had with you. And I am overjoyed to see how beautifully you and Reverend Kharma are working together in your shared ministry.
And I am Sylvia Stalker, the Minister Emerita. It is a thrill to be here. I was the minister here between 27 and 2020, and I suppose you could call Justine and me ancestors in a way. And so it's really fun to be able to lead this ritual with her, the ritual of welcoming and honoring ancestors. It is an ancient spiritual practice found in many cultures and traditions. We begin this ceremony by paying tribute and expressing gratitude to our ancestors. From our histories, our ancestors call to us, asking whence we come and how and whither. We are grateful for their gifts, their lessons, and their challenge, calling us into accountability and responsibility to fulfill their hopes and aspirations for what they dreamed be ours to do.
We call on and invoke our parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles, siblings from across time and place to be here with us. We call on the early Unitarians and Universalists, lay people and ordained ministers who fought for and brought our faith tradition to Maine, and to those of us who have been nurtured by it in this place.
We call on ancestors of the Unitarian and Universalist congregations in the Brunswick area who, beginning in 1812, built, grew, and dreamed of a liberal faith community in our region. We call on the ancestors of those who came together to dedicate a church building on this site in 1886, and those who worked to reimagine and rebuild our church home in 2014 after it was destroyed by electrical fire in 2011.
We call upon our activist ancestors, those who struggled for justice, freedom, and liberation of all people, who challenge us to honor the fullness of each and every human being. We especially lift up those who battled the isms and oppressions right here in Brunswick, which are still in need of transformation and repair today. They ask us to join the ongoing struggle to make this city and region whole.
We call on ancestors, we called on them already. We call on and honor the beauty of the earth, this particular part of creation that this church ministers in, and our connections to nature and to the history of this land. We acknowledge the painful history between the settlers and the indigenous peoples of this place, the Wabanaki nations. The falls of the Androscoggin River at the head of the tidewater were an annual gathering for the Wabanaki prior to colonization. They harvested fish heading upstream in spring, a major source of food after the long winter. Merry Meeting Bay was an important place for gathering wild rice and hunting waterfowl. Casco Bay was an important place for harvesting shellfish during the summer, when Wabanaki peoples migrated to the shore. The forests of this area were an important hunting ground, source of medicinal plants, and white birch trees for making birch bark canoes, the primary vehicle for travel in this area. We honor the history of the land and its peoples and express our regret for the death and destruction which accompanied the colonization of this place. We strive today to be in right relationship with our Wabanaki neighbors, in whose territory we live, love, and serve.
Now we ask you to call to your mind your own particular ancestors, family roots, spiritual mentors, muses, and guides. Each one of us brings into the room our own network of people and places. We have welcomed this great cloud of witnesses to join us for the installation of Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos as the settled minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick. Can you feel them? May our ancestors guide us on our way. May they bless this space and time and the work we are about to do. Please, everyone join us in saying, Ancestors, be with us.
Ancestors, be with us.
Be with us.
And now I invite you to join in singing our processional hymn, and the music is in your order of worship. And Nell, I believe, is going to play it through first. Please join in the singing.
Greetings, one and all. I'm Marcy Caswell, a member of the RE committee, and I'm stepping in for Tobin, who couldn't be here on this joyous celebration day. Some people are used to keeping rules. Don't cross the street when the light is red. Only sensible. It turns out that keeping rules isn't the same as keeping covenant, which asks us, instead of keeping a bright line, to keep our promises. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected, this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. This chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. The thing you must be is yourself, unadulterated, shedding the willingness to journey alone as though you are made of something hard and unforgivable. You are human. You belong right here, right now. And together we will chase away the sickness, the secrets, and leave open only the open possibility that the future is a space for growth.
Good afternoon. How are you? Good day, huh? What a good day. I'm Hillary. I serve our UU Church in Yarmouth, and I am so honored to be a part of this ceremony today because I have to tell you, Brunswick, whenever I ask Reverend Kharma how it's going here, she pauses, she gets this little smile, and she says, "It's good." They're good. Just like that. It's good. They're good. And so, good ones, it is a gift to be celebrating this ceremony of shared ministry with you today. And as we begin, Reverend Kharma invited me to share a word or two about why exactly we are here today and what exactly this thing called an installation is. To my knowledge, no refrigerators or washing machines are going to be delivered during this service, so this installation today is a little bit different than the ones we might be used to in our lives. All right, so why are we here today? We are here to make some promises. Promises to ourselves, promises to each other, promises to our ancestors and our future generations, and promises to the ever-widening, precious present web of life that we are a part. And you know, in our lives, we make all kinds of promises, don't we? Some we know we can keep, some we know we cannot keep, and some, like the ones we make today, that we aspire to keep, or conspire together to keep. And to me, these are the best kinds of promises, for they are life-giving promises. They are life-engaging, life-fortifying promises. They are living promises. They bring us together. They evolve with the changing times. They put us in contact with what comforts us and discomforts us. And they remind us how essential we all, you, me, them, us, all of us, how essential all of us are to benefiting this beautiful, broken world. So what are the promises you're going to be making today? Well, take a moment. Search your heart, your mind, your body. You might already know what these promises are that you make today. Or, for a hint, you can look to the chalice lighting that Marcy just read. A chalice lighting that said, "We will promise ourselves to this moment and this time of place. We will promise ourselves to this community, and tenderly, we will promise ourselves to this planet. We will promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings, and we will promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. That's a great line. And I will add, I hope that these promises we make today, we make in love. A fierce, protective, justice-making love, a gentle, careful, compassionate love, a tough, rugged, unshakable love, and a joyful, playful, absolutely ridiculous love. So promises, making aspirational, life-engaging promises, that's why we are here today. Promises that we ache for in our daily lives, and that we come to this congregation to invoke and practice living out together. All right, here for promises. What's an installation? What's this all about? Well, some promises, my friends, are just too exciting, too joyful, too powerful, too important to say privately on a small scale. So we hold ceremonies and rituals to collectively speak these promises aloud and feel them in the presence of each other, so that we can collectively remember these promises and lovingly keep ourselves and each other accountable to them going forward. And this installation today serves as one such holy space and time for you and Reverend Kharma to make these promises of your shared ministry in the loving presence of each other, in the loving presence of all us ministers who certainly make these promises with you, in the loving presence of the spirits of our ancestors and our loving visions of the generations to come. All of us here are committed to blessing the world with these promises. In the Buddhist tradition, it's written that when one takes vows or makes promises to improve the lives of all beings, one must make these aspirational promises with joyful confidence. Joyful confidence. So friends, Kharma, good people of Brunswick, I invite you in the time ahead to stir up and strengthen a joyful confidence in all that you say and hear and hope for today and going forward. And so, with that intention in mind, along with all the other intentions you bring to this space and time, I invite you now into a moment of quiet centering. As the words aspire and conspire are both rooted in the word spirare, which is Latin for breath, let us remember on this path together our shared life and our shared breath, and let's remember to breathe, all right? And so, will you join me now in taking a deep, refreshing breath in, a calming breath out, and steady yourselves in this sacred moment of quiet. Blessed is this path, blessed is our breath, and may we breathe in peace and breathe out love every step of the way together. Let it be so.
Thank you, Reverend Hillary. It's a beautiful segue into our congregational song, which is next. It's called the Meditation on Breathing. It has 3 parts. The words will be up on the screen. I'm going to invite my friends Stephanie and Mary to come up, and we would like to demonstrate the parts for you. We want you to try them out, and then when we're ready to go, pick the part that feels the most comfortable for you to sing. And we'll cue you in with our hands and let you know when to stop your parts. So the first part of the song is kind of a drone, but I think of it as the heartbeat of the song, and it's breathe in, breathe out, and Mary is going to demonstrate that for us. Stephanie is going to demonstrate the next part, which is the melody part. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Stephanie.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
And the last part is a little descant, and it is the same words. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love, but it's layered in with the melody and the heartbeat. This is how it goes. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Beautiful. Now choose your part, and here we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. I'm Diane Fisher. In case you didn't know, I'm Kharma's wife, and what an honor it is to be able to participate in this. Today I'm going to be reading Choose to Bless the World by Rebecca Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting,
Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, to bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. Choose. You must answer the question, what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude, to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of the earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Hallelujah.
Bernier. I'm the office administrator here, and I will be reading The Low Road by Marge Piercy. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up. They can bust you. They can break your fingers. They can burn your brain with electricity. They can blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight. You can refuse. You can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat a pie for dinner without seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen, make a demonstration. 100, fill a hall. 1,000, have solidarity and their own newsletter. 10,000, power and their own paper. 100,000, your own media. 10 million, your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more.
Thank you, Shirley. It's my great privilege today to welcome our next speaker. We welcome Reverend Jim Matulski all the way from Belmont, California, where he is pastor of the Congregational Church of the Peninsula, UUCB. Reverend Jim has served 40 years of ordained ministry in parish, denominational, and social justice work. He holds ministerial credentials in a number of religious denominations, as well as a Master's of Divinity from Pacific School of Religion. Also, Reverend Jim was awarded an honorary doctorate from the Unitarian Universal Seminary, Star King School for the Ministry. Jim is here today because he has been a colleague, mentor, and friend of Kharma's since she began serving her first church in 2002. I asked Kharma to tell me 3 things she loves about Jim. She said he is wicked smart. If you're not from this part of the world, then you might not know that wicked in Maine is a very special adjective, and it means like really, really. So if something's really, really pretty, then it's wicked pretty. And if something's really, really good, it's wicked good. Kharma also said that Jim loves singing church music so much he goes to hymn conferences. I never even knew that was a thing. You're in good company, Reverend Jim, because UUCB loves to sing. And finally, Kharma said, Jim has taught her to take risks and be real. Reverend Jim, thank you for making the trip to honor Kharma
We are wicked happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Well, I like Kharma because she's wicked everything, including a little bit wicked. Now, indulge me for a moment because you look so good. I want the world to see how good you look. So, preaching in a Unitarian Universalist church for someone who normally preaches in conventionally Christian churches is a little intimidating and also very exciting. I feel like a free-range chicken. Kharma said, "What are your readings going to be? They don't have to be from the Bible." I was like, I do love the Bible, I really do. But I love novels and poetry maybe a little bit more. And so I'm going to quote a little from that. And what I want to acknowledge is this, before we begin or as we begin. This is an historic day, and we are here to make history. Will you agree with me on that? Yes. We are not just remembering the past, we are paying close attention to the zeitgeist, the moment, and we are committing from this moment on, together, to make a difference in what happens next. So, you know, I'm a bit of a preacher in the revivalist traditions, and I want to start out by just summoning the zeitgeist, both historically and the present. And I wonder if you'll join me in this little give and take, a little back and forth. I love protests. And I think every church service should be a rally, a protest, and a call to action, as well as a place that replenishes us internally for the work that we do in the world. So I wonder if we could just listen to some of and summon some of the energy right now out in the world that is making this moment a historic moment. The young people in March for Our Lives who have been calling to us to pay attention to unbridled gun violence. In March for Our Lives, that group in particular, this week they took over the South Carolina legislature for a brief time with their chanting after they had just experienced a gun shooting in their college campus nearby. Vote them out! Vote them out!
Vote them out! Vote them out!
Yeah. Who can be aware right now? And I say this as a person who did AIDS activism, as did Kharma, as did every MCC person in the room, and maybe many of you as well in your religious context. After all our years of AIDS activism, that it is a scandal that we don't have universal health care, and that health care is not treated like a human right, but like a privilege. Act up, fight back, fight AIDS. Act up, fight back, fight AIDS. Act up, fight back, fight AIDS. Oh, this is a really singing group, I like that. I went to the Francis Perkins Center nearby when I was here. It was a pilgrimage site for me because I'm an absolute Francis Perkins freak. Test me afterwards. If you haven't been, go. She's the woman who was FDR's labor secretary, the first woman to serve in the cabinet. She brought us Social Security, unemployment insurance, and also tried to bring us universal health care too soon. I'm thinking about labor rights right now and the plight of the worker, because Francis Perkins would say to us, pay attention to what's happening. Watch what's happening with United Auto Workers in Detroit right now. They say fight back. No, they say give back. We say fight back. They say give back. We say fight back. They say give back. We say fight back. How can we not be aware of what is happening right now around unbridled white supremacy and racism that more than ever requires us to step up in our bodies and make a difference collectively, standing together in cooperation, in collaboration. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. I know that you have been involved in this issue at UU Church in Brunswick, and I hope you'll continue to be. Immigration. Migration is a human right. People have the right to move around, and it can't be controlled in oppressive ways by governments. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Who ever thought 50 years ago that we would see Roe versus Wade overturned? Who thought? Well, we can't let it stay that way. And I urge us all, women, men, people of all gender expressions, standing together. Our bodies, our choice. Our bodies, our choice. Our bodies, our choice. So I just love hearing this. You know, like I said, every church service should be a little bit of a rally. And I'm trying to establish a case for why this is an important moment for us to be spiritually progressive people gathered into community, and why the installation of your new minister is an historic act. I just read, perhaps you saw this, last year, a novel that came out called My Government Means to Kill Me by Rashid Newsom. If you haven't, it's a thriller. It's a memoir. It's a fiction presented as a memoir. And it's about the experiences of a young gay black man in the late 1980s in New York during the establishment of ACT UP, and how he became politicized and what it is that made him feel alive for the first time. And so though it depicts something from 40 years ago, I think it speaks to our present moment, to our zeitgeist. Dorothy Cotton was Martin Luther King's principal female lieutenant in the civil rights movement, and was a principal trainer also for nonviolence, particularly training people who were participating in protests. And she, in this section from the novel that I'll read from, engages a group of young people in ACT UP for the first time to teach them about nonviolent resistance. And she tells them about her history in the civil rights movement. And listening to her, Trey Singleton, the 19-year-old, becomes aware. A childhood spent attending church services, and the first time I ever felt the word touch me was during a sermon from Dorothy Cotton, delivered in Larry Kramer's bedroom. It was like I'd finally reached a long-sought destination and tasted the purest water. The answers to a gnawing central question was made manifest. Why had I always felt persecuted by authority figures? Why did the promises of America the beautiful, America the land of liberty, and America the shining city upon a hill ring false to me? Why didn't I trust cops? Why did I have no faith in the justice system? It was obvious now. Until Dorothy removed the scales from my eyes, I'd had 100 ways of asking one thing. Why did I feel hunted in my homeland? Because my government means to kill me. Amen, amen, and glory, hallelujah. at last I could explain the force shaping my existence. This was 40 years ago, but I think it speaks to our present moment. Never, ever has there been a time when a spiritual, progressive community gathered together, just as Marge Piercy describes in our lesson, could make a difference about what happens next, partly because religion is at the source of so much of this oppression. And religion can also be at the source of our liberation, if we are willing to transform ourselves and transform it. Now, to the Unitarian Universalists in the room, and especially you Church of Brunswick, let me say this, and I'll return to this point. You won the lottery with your ministerial choice in Reverend Kharma Amos. You won the minister lottery. And not only it would be enough, Diana, if Kharma were here, but her partner, Reverend Diane Fisher, is an internationally distinguished human rights activist who did LGBT activism in Eastern Europe as well as here in this country for many years. But Unitarian Universalists, I say this, you have an advantage right now. You have a cool brand. I have denomination envy. I can't speak for the entire United Church of Christ and Congregationalist tradition, but I will say this. Gosh darn it, you were right. You know, in the early 19th century at Harvard, when your theological troublemakers said, hey, Moses didn't really actually write the first 5 books of the Bible himself. For example, he dies before the end. You were right. When you drew attention in the 19th century to the teachings of Jesus, the religion of Jesus, and not the religion about Jesus, you were right. And actually that is what the UCC has now become in many ways. You were right. And with your 20th and 21st century interest in creating genuine interfaith communities, I think you're ahead of the curve, but I think history will prove to you that you will prove to all of us that you were right. You were onto something. But don't rest on your laurels. I just want to draw attention to one reason why this is a history-making moment. Because you have an advantage in your religious faith and what you're trying to do internally and externally. Create genuine community that is not divided by religion. How cool is that? Yeah. So remember that as we think about this historic moment. You are poised to help us make religious history as well as social change because of this insight that you are already living out. Because in the next generation or two, every liberal Protestant church at least will also be struggling with this. And you're already onto something. Also, why can this be a historic moment? Because of Kharma and your choice of her. Now, I've known Kharma for 25 or so years. I get a little fuzzy on the dates. But I do remember when we first met, she was a student in a class I was teaching in Toronto. And when I met her, and we started talking about our shared interest in acknowledging the goddess and using the word goddess in worship, I thought, I think I even said this to her, I think you're a Unitarian Universalist waiting to happen. I was right. Kharma is so talented and so called and so open to spirit that if you find a way to work with each other, which you're already doing, I love this, that this installation is celebrating what's already happening, not what just could happen. It's a promise of where you'll go together. You have an enormous opportunity here. Kharma, is revered among her colleagues like a rock star for being a person of personal integrity, enormous creativity and flexibility, and a trainer of leaders. I was in a clergy group this week that we meet every week to plan our sermons. And I said, I'm preaching at Kharma's installation. These were mostly MCC ministers. And I said, what should I say? And they said, she is so talented. And tell them not to underestimate her. Because her way is quiet, but her manner is trustworthy. She trains leaders. And you're already leaders. That's how, Unitarians are already like kind of a step ahead of everyone else in that regard. They reminded me of how her skills will require all of us, all of you, to step up. They said she can do anything, but she won't do it for you. She has the gift to stand and wait patiently until the group decides together to move forward. And I've seen this time and again, and we all saw it too. Another thing that people said was there's no self-aggrandizement there. She is who she appears to be. This gives you an enormous opportunity to do something important together because you can do it together. And I hope that you will take advantage of it. But don't take advantage of her, because we know where you live. And she has friends. I want to name something else about why this is a history-making moment. Bear with me, it's a little delicate, but I think it's better to say it than not. And I've struggled with how to say this. Kharma comes from an MCC background. It's okay not to know what MCC is. In the world of acronyms, how many of us here are MCC people? I see a few, see quite a few. MCC began 55 years ago at a time when out gay people had to form separate churches in order to have spiritual community. That's the only way to say it. Segregated, separate churches for gay people. That was the rule of the day 55 years ago. Some of us have lived through this period and are seeing a new moment possible. Unitarians, again, welcomed many gay clergy, didn't always let them become pastors, just to say that. Sometimes, but more rarely. And the UCC, my own current denomination, ordained people for 40 years, but never let them actually work in churches in the early years. So MCC people, when we see someone like Kharma, who has represented us in our tradition, in our accomplishments, joining and becoming a UU minister, and we see a UU church calling her as their pastor, it speaks a lot to us. It speaks to a moment that many of us never thought we would ever see, and that many who came before us did not live to see. It's an expression of trust and confidence. Then we can leave the safety of our separate space and trust that you will have our backs and that you welcome us as peers, colleagues, and comrades in the struggle for spiritual self-determination and for social justice. It's a history moment. We're seeing fewer and fewer separate gay congregations, and more congregations like this really live into not just open and affirming and tolerating, and 2 or 3 is okay, but don't have more than 5 or 8, because it starts to get like unnerving. This moment represents true solidarity. And though in a UU context it may not seem that outstanding, what it telegraphs to the rest of the world, to the LGBT world, to LGBT religious people is, oh, something is happening here that you can trust and you can become part of in a different way that has been possible in the past. These are all reasons why I think this is a history-making moment. And here's my best advice to you, UUCB and Kharma, as you work together. Even self-care is not solely the responsibility of the individual. Take care of each other. Because if you take care of each other, you can change the world and not be depleted or exhausted or burned out by it. It's not inevitable, but that's the conclusion. Take care of each other. Treat each other with love in all things. And don't be afraid to rely on spirituality. Yes. Why do I say that? Because, as religious liberals, doesn't it make you a little nervous? But we need to not be afraid of spirituality. I have a favorite UU theologian, Adam Lawrence Dyer. You know him. He's a young man who is, he just finished a pastorate at the First Church in Cambridge and is now a graduate student, a PhD student at the University of Virginia at Charlotte. He has a book called Love Beyond God. It's a meditation for ministers, meditation manual. And this is what he says about God, which he acknowledges is kind of a dicey word in UU circles sometimes. But just be open to it, his words. Love beyond God. What if every time you woke, your sigh was felt by every being on earth? What if every time you spoke, your words were heard by every ear on earth? What if when you told a joke, you tickled the senses of every smile on earth? What if with each tender stroke, you shared your touch with every hand on earth? What if when your heart broke, you tasted the tears running down every cheek on earth? No bond or brand or gilded yoke. Surely this is love that reaches far beyond, that holds one to another and every other to one. No matter the color or where we're from, this is now, this is we, this is love, this is God, and this is love beyond God. In this moment, as we make history, as Kharma and UUCB make a covenant together to do something unprecedented and fabulous, you are calling us all to go together beyond what church has been, beyond what even God and God language has been. You're calling us into love, to love making, to justice making. Are you ready to make history together? Yes. All right, let's do it. Amen.
Thank you so very much for that. And now let's stretch and stand up and sing the song We Would Be One, and you'll find the words and music in your insert and on the screen. Thank you.
Our
This is the time when we get to share the abundance of our joy with the Living Tradition Fund. It is a fund that was established in 1990 by the Unitarian Universalist Association Board of Trustees. And its purpose is to, first it was held at the General Assembly every year during the Sunday service. And that's where they first started collecting the funds. And then it became standard practice for us to ask for donations or gifts to the fund at ordinations, installations, and sometimes at memorial services for our UU ministers. The gifts are used for grants to reduce the burden of seminary student loans and general aid to religious professionals and other congregational staff in need. If you didn't bring some of this with you, please take your order of service home and write a check to the Living Tradition Fund and bring it back tomorrow. Or, send it in the mail, whichever. At this time, the offering for the Living Tradition Fund will be received.
When our church building was destroyed in 2011 by fire, we discovered that the old bell had an inscription on it that nobody knew about, and it said, "Bring joy and peace to the world." Three times a day on Main Street of Brunswick, that old Universalist bell rang out the morning, the noon and the evening, and all of the town knew it well. Old Colonel Dennison sent back the first one. He said that the tone wasn't pure, and we Universalists, so few in number, but we gotta ring out if we want to be heard. Bringing joy and peace to the world. Bring joy and peace to the world. "30 years later, one October evening was lit by a terrible fire. And the next Sunday morning, that bell lay in ruins, in the ashes and bones of the spire. And the years had been hard as those black walnut pews, and the church could have easily died. But they rolled up their sleeves, and they picked up the pieces, and they recast the bell, and right there on the side said, "Ring joy and peace to the world. Bring joy and peace to the world." And that bell rang in change for 125 years, rang out freedom with a beautiful noise, and it rang out in hope, and it rang out in sorrow, and rang till the next fire took its voice. Some folks will tell you the church is so stubborn, we don't even know when we're beat. And some folks will tell you this church has got gumption, and we know how to land on our feet. All that I know is the work was unfinished, and we all felt the need to go on and build a home here for bringing that bell back to ringing. Our voices still singing out loud with a song, bringing joy and peace to the world. Bring joy and peace to the world. Bring joy and peace to the world. Bring joy and peace to the world.
Please join me in saying these words of response. May
These offerings support and bless the transformative ministry of Unitarian Universalism in the world.
Many thanks.
Central to the Unitarian Universalist tradition of democratic congregational polity is the right of the congregation and the minister to choose one another. The act of installation symbolizes a pledge between the members of the congregation and the minister whom they have chosen. The relationship is based upon mutual confidence, respect, and trust, and is undertaken by mutual consent. Our Ministerial Search Committee will now formally present our minister.
In June of 2021, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick commissioned us to lead our congregation in a search for our new minister. After carefully exploring our congregation's character, as well as our needs and aspirations for this part of our journey together, we began our search with intention.
Following the UUA process for ministerial searches and following our own deep discernment process, we presented the Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos to the congregation as our candidate for settled minister.
On May 1st of last year, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick voted unanimously to call Kharma as our minister. We now present her for installation as our minister.
Kharma, you come forward.
Kharma, we have called you to live among us, to provide religious leadership, pastoral care, spiritual guidance, and encouragement in times of joy and sorrow. We have called you to lead us with Spirit's help in the paths of understanding, righteousness, justice, and peace, and to be with us as we all strive to put our values into practice in a constantly changing world. Today, we celebrate the reality of our covenant and the promise it offers all of us. Kharma, are you ready to enter into this covenant with us, formally and fully?
I am wicked ready.
Although today we recognize Kharma as our minister, in fact, the ministry of this church resides with all of us. This installation service symbolizes our dedication to new efforts in shared ministry. So I ask the members of the church, will you please rise in body or spirit and join me in these words of installation. We cherish our church for all that it has been and all it currently offers. We are grateful for the leadership and legacy of all who founded, nurtured, and shaped this community. We also cherish our church for what it may yet become through our combined efforts as we continue to heed the call of the Spirit. Kharma, we are confident that you understand and respect the importance of this spiritual community in our lives, and that you will work with us as we discover new ways of being faithful to its vision. We ask you to offer us your authenticity in opinion and belief, your faith and humor, your courage, and your empathy and love. We ask you to challenge us gently and respectfully to help us grow deeper roots into our Unitarian Universalist religious heritage, and to help our warmth and vitality branch out to more people. In turn, we pledge to offer you a free pulpit and to remember that the work of the church belongs to us all. We pledge to journey with you and one another in the paths of understanding, righteousness, and peace, and to speak the truth in love. We offer the cooperation of our hearts and hands in support of you, as well as our resolute goodwill as you continue your work among us. Therefore, we, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, install you as our ministers.
With gratitude for the trust that you place in me, I accept the invitation to be your minister. I welcome the opportunity to be your fellow traveler and spiritual leader, to live and speak the truth in love, to minister to you and with you, in times of trial and difficulty, as in times of grace and celebration. I welcome the opportunity to help you minister to one another and to work with you to foster the growth of the beloved community, both within these walls and in our larger world. May our journey together be rich and joyful as we become the people we aspire to be and as we conspire together to bless the world.
Will all of you who are gathered here now rise and join in these words of celebration together? We joyfully recognize the Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick. With love, we offer our blessings on this partnership. May your ministry be a source of healing, hope, and transformation.
Although there is no gift that could reflect the wonderful gift Kharma has been to our church, on behalf of the search team and the entire congregation, we are here to present a gift to Reverend Kharma to commemorate this installation. fabric artwork has been lovingly created by our own Catherine Worthington to reflect Kharma's commitment to Maine and her love of the natural world. May it serve as a continuing reminder of our admiration and our mutual covenant. I think you're supposed to come back. We're going to sing, and then you're going to do the benediction.
Sorry. Yeah, Sylvia says the prayer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sylvia.
You said sing, and I thought,
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to do
What a moment.
Yes.
What a moment to celebrate. What a moment to gather our hearts together. Will you join me in prayer and meditation? Deepest mystery, God and Goddess of many names and of no name, Spirit of life, Spirit of love. We rejoice today for the Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos, a rock star, and the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, now her arena, and now in formal covenant together with each other. We lift our hearts in gratitude for Kharma herself, and for this church's great privilege to call her as their settled minister, and for the partnership she and this church are forging together. So many things to be thankful for. We give thanks for the care, dedication, and hours and hours and hours of hard work of the search committee. Mary Larson, Tom Rumpf, Betsy Roper, David Julien, Nathan Haynes, Irene Austin, and Stephanie Bernier. And for our sibling denomination, the Metropolitan Community Churches, we give thanks for their healing ministry and witness, and for their justice work all around the world. We give thanks that Kharma answered her call to ministry in the MCC and was ordained there 21 years ago. And we celebrate and give thanks for her years of experience there, which helped her to become the fine minister she is. We give thanks for the ongoing circle of love that holds Kharma, her wife Diane, and Diane's daughter Carly, and Carly's dads Bill and Walter, Kharma's mother, Wendy Wyatt, Kharma's brother, Jeremy Amos, and Jeremy's children, Wyatt and Scarlett Amos. And we offer our special gratitude for Kharma's grandmother of blessed memory, Ruth Wyatt, the soul of the family, who was so very proud of Kharma. We give thanks for the many generations of dedicated people who, for over 200 years, have steadily moved this congregation forward, even in the toughest and leanest of times, because they believed and continue to believe This spiritual home fills a real need in our lives and community, and the work we do here helps to heal ourselves and our beautiful but broken world. We know of the deep need for justice, mercy, and love in a world so often starved of those qualities. And so we pray with hope that our work together will bring a salve of healing here and to the wider world. We pray for the health of this minister and congregation, and for the strength of the covenantal promises exchanged here today. May this shared ministry flourish and prosper. We know the times ahead will not be perfect, could never be perfect. So we pray for wisdom to guide us, for open hearts and listening ears, for ample humility and forgiveness when called for, and above all, for love to infuse our connections with one another and our work together. And when the way forward may feel hard or confusing, may we remember that once there was a day in September when it simply refused to rain, despite months of prevailing deluges. A day when we reached out with joy, hope, gratitude, and love, and found a welcoming embrace reaching back to us. With gratitude, hope, joy, and love, we move forward together into the world that waits. So may it be. Amen.
Amen. Use this. Oh, can I just use this? Yeah. Karma. First, I want to say that, as you probably know, today is the fall equinox. What a powerful day, in addition to it being a historical day, for this to be happening on this day. I don't know if you chose it because of that, but so it's a joy and a privilege. I was so happy when you asked for me to do this charge for you, Reverend Kharma, Reverend Doctor Kharma Amos, in your settled ministry here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, Maine. So when I first met you on Zoom, I felt an immediate kinship with you, and that solidified when we got together in person, and even more so when I realized that we both drive black pickup trucks. Did I just out you? Sorry. So ministry is as stressful as it is satisfying. We play so many roles: pastor, preacher, administrator, teacher, fundraiser, mediator, community organizer, justice leader, prophet, ritualist, and so much more. We hold and witness people through their wondrous, painful, sacred journeys on this earth. Ministry is hard work. It's an impossible endeavor. But we do it anyway, despite its magnitude. We do it because we have great hope in humanity, and great faith in the power of community. We do it because we love our religious traditions, we love our people, we love our congregations, and this love, which you boldly and graciously embody, is the guiding light of your ministry. So the key to your ministry, my charge to you, Kharma, is love. And the first person you must love is you. Sometimes we need to set boundaries to care for and nourish ourselves. Brene Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. As ministers, we know we disappoint our people. It comes with the territory. And it's in these moments of feeling we are not enough when our loving ourselves is so poignant. I can feel the love in this room right now for you, from you. It's everywhere. But the love I'm talking about comes from something bigger than us. It comes from our connection to our great Mother Earth and to the infinite cosmos. So today I charge you with the love you receive when you sit quietly alone, listening to your ancestors, to the goddess. When you walk through the woods or by the sea, when you swim and breathe deeply, when you stand under the night sky and know in your DNA that you are from the stars. Because, Kharma, when you charge yourself with a love so abundantly emanating from the earth and the cosmos and your own heart, you become a guiding light to your people, to all people. And when you charge yourself with the love by tuning into all that is holy and true for you, you inspire and support your congregation in their ability to love. Then, together, you open to new ways of being in the world. And as a community, you conspire together to bless the world. Blessed be Kharma.
UUCB folks, this is for you. You have called an excellent partner in ministry, a true gem. You have called and now installed an excellent partner, because ministry is a partnership, a shared endeavor, a team sport. And so my charge to you today, congregation, is to remember this. First, that this is your church. This is your church. You together have stewarded its resources, called your minister, discerned your mission, and now living that mission is your work, not your minister's work, although she'll help you. Living that mission is your work, returning to your why and allowing it to guide each decision you make is critical. Stewards of this church, this mission, and our living tradition, don't forget the work to which you are called. Second is that for those of you who aren't aware, the state of the world, our country, organized religion, and the ministry are a total hot mess. Because we are in the midst of transformation, of growth, of change, of rethinking our methods and writing our relationships, and it's not pretty out there. I'm guessing it's not always pretty in here either. We all have our moments, but it's holy. This work is holy ground. And it's easier to choose the ways we've always done things, isn't it? To play it safe, to protect ourselves, to stay comfortable, to preserve our resources for an imagined future. And so I charge you instead to be brave, to be bold, because we need both of those. You have called a settled minister, but shared ministry in 2023 is anything but settled. Sorry, get used to it. And curious about it. Be energized by it. For transformation is our birthright, and it's right here at our fingertips. And finally, remember that Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition, that we are people of faith. This is not a social justice nonprofit or an academic institution, a social club, or a lesbian bar. It's a church. It's a church. And therein lies your superpower. UUCB, be the church. Let Reverend Kharma be your pastor. Love one another and treat each other well. And may your shared ministry be blessed.
So now we get to sing. Please join us in this recessional hymn, Fire of Commitment. The music is in your order of service.
Which we're going to just do together, okay? I just feel so honored by your presence here and so excited about our future. I want us to bless one another with a song. I'm going to ask you to use your bodies because we're going to have to do that too. Follow me, if you will, and we're going to wish one another blessings of peace before us, peace behind us, peace under our feet, peace within us, peace over us. Let all around us be peace. And you're going to sing it with me now. Just do this with feeling. Peace before us, peace behind us, peace under our feet, peace within us, peace over us. Let all around us be peace. Go in peace, friends.
The installation committee invites you to a reception now ready for you in the Mary Meeting Bay Room, our religious exploration area, all the way through the hall to the back rooms. Refreshments made by many of our wonderful members will be there. We ask that you proceed through the fellowship hall so we may clear that area and set up more tables. And before you go, we have one more special surprise for you. Let the celebration begin.